I'll be happy to advance, no problem.
Thanks, Kristen. So just an overview, if you don't already know kind of where we're located in the United States. So we are in the Northeast region. We pinned it on the map for folks to kind of get a sense of where we are. We are located in the state of Massachusetts. Because we didn't know where folks would be logging in from today, we just kind of picked some large airports around the world that we thought might be helpful for folks to get a sense of how long it might take you to get here. No matter where you're traveling from, we know that international travel is quite a feat. So, whether it's 19 plus or even 2 hours, we welcome you to Bridgewater State and appreciate the time and the effort that it takes to pick a university like us and make your way here. Next slide, please, Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
So as I mentioned, where in the United States, we are in kind of the southeast region of Massachusetts. What's nice about where we're located, we're kind of centrally located between two airports. So Boston Logan International Airport is the kind of the most major airport near us. And then we also have TF Green located in Providence. We are about, it seems like 4 to 5 hours away from New York City, depending on traffic. And we're about 7 hours away from Washington, D.C. So we're kind of right on this, the Eastern Seaboard corridor here, where there's a lot of wonderful opportunities to learn about U.S. history and visit lots of places while you're here at Bridgewater.
Jen, and if I can add too, one of the nice things about Bridgewater is we do have public transit right on campus. So we have a train station that can take you straight into Boston, so you can see all historic sites and get a taste of the city. And from Boston, you can connect to the Amtrak, which can take you to New York, DC, and many other places in the United States. And that's the national train system is Amtrak.
Excellent. Thanks, Justin. Kristen, next slide, please. All right. So we have a quick video to show you all of just so you can get a sense of what our campus looks like. We find that it's really helpful, at least I know it's helpful for me, I'm a visual person, to be able to see what our campus looks like, see the facilities. So I'll ask Kristen to play this. And if folks don't hear it, just maybe raise a hand or let us know, but I think our audio should be working just fine. Kristen. I know I'm biased, but that video always gets me pumped up. I love our campus. So hopefully that gave you guys a good overview of kind of what our campus looks like and the options that are available. And I know that Darren and Paul will be here to talk in depth to you all about specific graduate programs if you have any questions about that. Just again, another kind of graphic for you for the overview and statistics of the campus. Typically, we run anywhere from 10,000 to 11,000 students. About 2,000 of those are graduate students, and Paul and Darren, if there's any updates on that, please feel free to share that. We were founded in 1840 originally as a teacher's college, but we have a robust offering of programs as a liberal arts college as well. I think what's really special and unique about BSU is our class sizes. While we have kind of a mid to, I kind of think a large size feel of campus, our classes are small. You really have intimate class settings, super close access to your faculty. I think the average is anywhere from like 20 to 22 students per class. So you really have that one-to-one type of feel instruction from your faculty. Anything else that folks want to add about some facts?
So I'll just share the details about our international student breakdown. So what you see here on the right-hand side, academic year 19 to 20, we had roughly 109 international students on campus and the breakdown of types. So we have undergraduate students, graduate, and exchange. Exchange students typically come for 1 semester a year, but they're actively involved and there's a lot of opportunities to meet folks from other countries. We share this because this is typically our average. On a given semester. COVID has affected things, but on a given semester and year, we have about 100 students. And then break down, a lot of students live on campus or in the area. About a third of the students choose to work on campus, and through graduate studies, there is what's called a graduate assistantship, which is a great funding and employment opportunity for graduate students to work on campus for a department, either 10 hours a week or a maximum of 20 hours a week during the semester. And through that program, you can get a biweekly paycheck for the number of hours a week worked, plus tuition and fee waivers. I believe it's for a 20-hour internship, it's up to, graduate assistantship, it's up to 9 credits a semester. So a lot of students, international students, take advantage of that opportunity. There's great resources on campus. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Justin.
All next slide, unless, I was going to say next slide, unless anyone would like to add anything.
I think we're good. Excellent. We also like to just include our enrollment statistics if folks are interested, so you can kind of see the breakdown a little bit further. And again, encouraging folks to use the chat if you have any questions. If anybody would like a copy of this presentation sent to them, if that's more helpful for you to be able to review, we're happy to do that. You can just pop your email into the chat as well, and we can follow up afterwards. Thanks, Kristen. I think we're good for next slide. Justin, you want to talk about cost comparisons, or maybe Paul or Darren?
I can mention it real quick, and then Paul and Darren, if you'd like to add anything, please feel free. So what you see here is the cost comparison. It breaks down tuition fee, room and board, and then combines the total estimated cost per year for in-state and out-of-state. At the graduate studies level, I'd like to add that there is no out-of-state or in-state costs. This cost breakdown, I believe, was initially created for the undergraduate level. So the graduate costs are comparable. I don't have the exact numbers and figures, but I just want to point out that there is no out-of-state or in-state tuition and fees. But in comparing BSU to a lot of the schools in our immediate area, so the South Shore and parts of Rhode Island and mid-Massachusetts, we are the cheapest option. So a lot of these are private schools listed. So compared to them, we are the cheapest option. And some of these are other public schools that are in the area. So UMass Dartmouth is a Massachusetts public school. They are the third on the list, and you can see that BSU is significantly cheaper. And I just want to point out that the cost isn't equivalent to the quality of education, because BSU, we have tremendous faculty. One of the things that I'd like to point out is that at BSU, your class will be taught by your professor, and the overwhelming majority of the professors all hold doctorate degrees. Courses at BSU are not taught by graduate assistants or teaching assistants, which you may find at a lot of these other schools. So we have a lot of the amount you're paying. I would argue you get a high quality, high caliber education for a low cost. So I don't know if Paul or Darren would like to add anything.
Sure, I can just add that, so the cost per graduate credit is $475.25. So we, as Justin said, there's no difference between in-state, out-of-state, international, and that's the cost for this academic year. But it's $475.25. So if you're looking at, and what you have to think about, depending on the graduate program that you do apply for, the number of credits per program can vary. So if you're looking at about an average of 30 credits per program, that tuition and fees cost would be about $14,250, give or take a little bit. Again, that's just the cost of the tuition and fees. There are additional costs if you live on campus, for housing and meals and whatnot.
And I would just add the link Jen put in the chat is great. We have full-time graduate assistantships, 20 hours a week, tuition and fee remission. We have part-time. We have graduate write-in fellows, and so those are great to help with programs that involve a tremendous amount of writing. So you'd have at the graduate level someone, if you will, a tutor to help with papers and whatnot. We have quantitative fellows to help with the mathematics side of a graduate degree, which is also somewhat helpful. Then we have research assistantships. So those differ from a graduate assistantship, whereby you'd be doing tangible research in a department of your choosing. Most commonly, it's the department or the discipline you're enrolled in. Then lastly, I would add, we do have graduate housing available on campus as well as near campus. You make it to Bridgewater, you'll see there's plenty of affordable options for rentable properties in our community and in the towns that surround us, which are only minutes away. So just to put that in as well.
Great, thank you, everybody. Kristen, next slide. I think we can skip over undergrad. We'll go right to graduate majors, please. And I will turn this over to Paul and Darren to talk about the graduate program options.
Sure. So as you can see, we have several graduate program options available to our international students. For the most part, you can apply to most of our graduate programs. The only thing that we do limit international students from applying to are specific education programs that are specific to Massachusetts. If you are looking for education, we do have options. So we have the pre-K through 12 education, MED, and then we also have, a non-licensure programs in elementary and special education as well. So, but other than that, we do have a lot of programs that you're able to apply for. The admissions requirements do vary by program. They're not the same for each individual program. So I would highly encourage you to look at our webpage, bridgew.edu/graduate. You can click on the list of programs there and then get to the individual admissions requirements by program. We can definitely go, get into some more detail. If you have specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Great, thank you, Paul. Kristen, next slide. And I think Kristen also put in the chat the direct link for international graduate admissions, so folks can take a look at that there. We also just included this as some of the more popular concentrations that international students take while they're here. That's by no means means that there's all of them. So I think, Darren and Paul, as our resident graduate admissions experts and grad studies folks, will be able to answer any specific questions you may have. And again, feel free to pop that in the chat. We can also put in our emails as well as the admissions email and our office email for folks to contact us as well. Kristen, next slide. That's for undergrad. We'll skip over that. So here we'll go into admission requirements for graduate programs. This is kind of a two-step process. So you would apply initially through the College of Graduate Studies. And so those applications will go through Paul and his team. And I'll let him talk about kind of that first process, and then we can talk about what happens afterwards.
Sure. Thanks, Jen. So as I said, the admissions requirements definitely vary by program. So, as you can see here, GRE or GMAT scores, those are very program specific. You don't have to provide a GRE for every program that you apply to. So again, we can get into the nitty gritty of the individual programs if you have questions. There are some general things that you will have to provide if you apply to any of our programs. So you definitely have to fill out an online application. We have a $50 application fee for all of our graduate programs as well. You will have to, if you did not attend undergraduate, if your undergraduate degree was not in the US, you will have to have a transcript evaluation. And on our international graduate page, we have a list of providers that we partner with for this. So it would have to be from somebody from that list. The good news is some of those partners provide discounts specifically to people who are applying to BSU, so I would highly encourage you to look at that page. If your undergraduate was not, if you're not from an English-speaking country, or if your undergraduate was not in English, you also would have to provide an English proficiency test. We accept the TOEFL, the IELTS, the Pearson PTE, and a few others. Again, all that information is on our webpage. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer that. And as Jen said, the process would be you would apply, you get accepted to the program, and then once you're accepted to the program, you will have to provide some additional information to the ISSS office to issue that visa. So I don't know if Jen or Justin want to talk a little bit about that part of it.
Sure, I'm going to put Justin on the spot. Would you like to talk about that, please?
Yeah, so typically what happens once you receive the admissions email from Paul confirming your acceptance into the program, I'm copied on that email, so I'll get it the exact same time you do. And then what will happen is I'll reach out, and first we'll try to identify and see what status you're actually requesting, because we do work with a lot of folks who have different types of statuses. Our office is only required to maintain the status of F1 and J1 visas. If you're coming straight from your home country with no prior status in the United States, you're likely going to come on F1 status. So what we would do is then ask you to provide a photocopy of your passport information page and financial documents. So these would need to be from checking or savings accounts, either from yourself or financial sponsors, so friends or family members. You can use more than one bank account, and I would explain all of this to you at that point. But the total amount needs to equal 1 full year cost of attending. So if that given semester, it's say $35,000, that's about how much we would ask you. And then on each statement, whoever the financial sponsor is would need to sign an affidavit of support, which we would provide to you. Once I have those documents, so the financial documents and a copy of your passport, then we would go ahead and issue you what's called an I-20 document. We would work with you to make sure that would get delivered to you on time. So you could apply for the F1 visa at a US consulate or embassy in your home country. And then we would work with you, help you, give you information on that process. And then once you get the visa, we set up our orientation and then welcome you to the campus and whatever semester you're coming.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you both. All right, Kristen, I think next slide, please. I did pop in the chat to the accepted English proficiency exams if needed. You can see here for the graduate programs, the minimum scores for each of the tests for the TOEFL, the IELTS, the PTE, and the CEFRL. And again, that is also posted on our website through the grad admissions as well too. So the link that I provided at initially about, or the link that Kristen applied initially about applying to BSU, if you click on that, you can navigate to the graduate portal, and all those admissions requirements will be drop-down menus underneath that. All right, thank you, Kristen. And then just to get a sense visually of the admissions portal, I think if you click through this, it'll zoom in some cool, fun arrows. So Kristen, if you want to click through that. So there's the admissions tab. That will bring you to info for international students. And then you can see this is the actual international student admissions portal. So you would click on the graduate international applicants, that center, and that will bring you to kind of the grad landing page that has all of the application materials that you would need listed out, all the requirements, and then the actual link to apply. All right, thank you. And yep, thanks, Kristen. Do you want to play that?
The orientation at Bridgewater State University has been phenomenal. It's been very informative, very helpful. We've had so much information here. The amount of resources that are available is really great. So when I know that when I have a problem or if I'm stuck somewhere, there's a resource for me, no matter what it is.
In my experience, it's amazing. I'm very grateful. The staff and faculty members from the international services, they're very friendly. They're there to help you since day one. They were always there for me. So I feel like I'm part of something. I feel like I've been here since, I don't know, a couple of years, and I just arrived the other day.
I decided to come here because the campus looked very great, very welcomed. Every time I walk in the hallways, I see professors, students, and they all smile. They say, "Good morning, how are you, how's it going?"
I would definitely recommend Bridgewater State University. Personally, I believe that for me, it's one of the best, not only because of all the programs and courses that they offer, but the faculty and the staff members. They make you want to be part of this community.
Awesome, thank you, Kristen. So Jennifer in that video was actually was a grad student at Bridgewater, and she was actually our graduate assistant, and we miss her very much, and we're still in touch with her and see her from time to time. So we even within our office have the ability to hire graduate assistants, and she was with us 20 hours a week and really helped connect with our international students. So there's options for, as Justin mentioned, grad assistantships, and Darren mentioned, at all different offices and departments around the campus. And it's a really unique opportunity, I think, for you to get integrated even more as a grad student. Let's see. All right. I think we just have a couple other student testimonials, which we can certainly show. We can play links or post links to. I don't know that we want to use the time to show the student testimonials. I think maybe at this point, I think this is the end of our presentation, Kristen, towards the end of it, if I stand corrected. And maybe at this point, what we could do is take some questions if there's any specific student questions around the application process, or if people have questions around programs. And I'd also like to make space for Paul and Darren if there's additional information that we didn't cover that you'd like to relay to the participants tonight.
Would you like me to stop sharing the slideshow or keep it up for now, Jen?
I think we could stop sharing for now, and then if folks have specific questions, we can just pop that in the chat.
Great.
All right, so Darren and Paul, is there any additional information that you'd like to provide for our students?
I think you did a great job with the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have. Now let's turn it over to you and answer any questions that you might have. Unless Darren has anything. I'm sorry, Darren.
Oh, that's good. We're here for the students, so let's hear from them. Do y'all have programs that you're interested in attending? You can put them in the chat or whatnot, and we can just kind of expand on those if possible.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen. Thank you for resharing the graduate funding opportunities. I think, Paul, you had mentioned, or Darren had mentioned about housing, that we do have housing for graduate students. We do have that available through our residence life and housing. And then if you are interested in living in an off-campus apartment or someplace that's close to campus, we actually do have a off-campus engagement office that will help you. So Shelley Kennison is the director. So she can help you identify off-campus housing, places to live. She can help you look through leases if that's not something that you're comfortable with. She's really a wonderful resource, and I think our graduate students in particular should take advantage of that. I can find her office information and pop that in the chat as well, because I know that's sometimes a overwhelming thing to think through, is not only coming to a new country and to a new school, but where am I going to live? I don't know the area. I don't know things to look for. How close is this to campus? And she can really help you navigate that. Excellent, Kristen. Thanks for popping that in the chat. All right. It doesn't look like we have a very questioning group this morning, so maybe we did a really good job of relaying all the information.
I just wanted to make sure folks are familiar. I don't know if everyone's familiar with Zoom or not, but just in case, if you do want to unmute and ask a question, in the bottom left-hand corner, you can click unmute. And if you want to raise your hands, if you go over to participants and hover over your name, you can raise your hand electronically that way. You can also put a question in the chat, which you'll see down at the bottom.
Thanks, Kristen. I think we actually have a question from Freeman from Nigeria, and I'll let maybe Paul and Darren answer that one.
Sure. So that's a great question. We don't offer a master's in public health. So what we do that would probably be the closest program to that is we have a master's of public administration. We do have a master's of health promotion, but it's not looking at it from a public health standpoint. So I would probably say that our closest would probably be our master's of public administration. Again, it's not a public health program though. But as Darren said, we do offer funding. Again, it's not program specific, the funding. It is, you apply for the funding separately. So the way it will work is you apply to a graduate program, you get accepted. Once you're accepted, you can apply for our funding opportunities. You can apply for the assistantships, the research assistantships, the fellowships, and scholarships, all at that point in time.
Great, thank you, Paul. All right. Well, I think that concludes our formal presentation. We'll stick around in case anybody else has additional questions. And I think our university events folks are able to share the presentation through the chat. Is that correct, Kristen?
So I will need to work on the settings for that to see if they'll be able to do it. If not, we're happy to send it afterwards. If folks could just put their emails in the chat, I'll make sure to get that out afterwards.
Yes, I think we have one email address so far. So if anybody else wants that copy, like Kristen said, pop that in the chat. We'll copy and paste that, and we'll email that out after the event concludes. All right. Well, thank you everybody for attending. Like I said, you can feel free to hang out if you have any other questions that you want to ask, or anything that you want more information on that we covered. Please let us know. So we'll just be here. Justin, do you think you could do me a favor and pop in the links to some of the videos, particularly our student testimonials? I think students might find that helpful. So we have our own YouTube channel for ISSS that we have over the years gotten student feedback and student testimonials, undergraduate, exchange students, and graduate students. If you're interested in kind of hearing from the student perspective, which we think is so important, it's a good opportunity, as we're all in various levels of quarantine and during the pandemic, and you have some time on your hand and you want to go down the YouTube channel, you can take a look at some of our videos. We think they're really helpful because they talk about academics, life on campus, how to get involved, especially as a graduate student, that might be helpful for folks.